share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe Share, Recipe Share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is holiday cookies. I'm Beth, and I'm here with Elizabeth and Katie to tell us about their recipes. So, Elizabeth, tell us about your holiday cookies.
I will. Thank you, Beth. Okay, so this is a cookie that I bring up my mom all the time, but she makes this every year around the holidays. And this recipe is from Southern Living, and it from like 2004. So I had a heck of a time trying to find it. And ended up having to have her send me a photo because it's like not even on the internet. But it's for Neapolitan cookies. So it's for pink, white, and chocolate cookies. And so this is like a family classic. Like I can't even picture the holidays at my parents' house without like these cookies like being like just like around on plates. So it's super easy. You basically make a sugar cookie base. Hold on, let me pull up the recipe here so I can accurately reference it. Okay, so you cream together a cup of butter and a cup and a half of sugar, stir in an egg and a teaspoon of vanilla, and then in a separate bowl you combine 2.5 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half teaspoon of salt. And then combine the wet and dry ingredients. And then you divide the dough equally into 3 smaller bowls. And to one bowl, you add some almond extract. And to another bowl, you add some freeze-dried strawberries and a small amount of red food coloring. And then to the third bowl, you add cocoa powder. And then you put wax paper in a baking dish and press the dough. First you put down the chocolate and then the almond and then the strawberry dough, press it into the 3 layers, refrigerate it for at least 4 hours. Overnight is fine. And then you preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And then you put the dough out of the wax paper and cut it into slices. And cookie size slices. So first you cut it lengthwise and then you cut it into, it says like 1/4 inch slices, however big you want your cookies. Bake it. And that is pretty much it. And they are Neapolitan, look like Neapolitan ice cream, whatever else, you think of when you think of Neapolitan, that's what they look like. They're delicious. When I was a kid, I used to love like trying to like eat each layer individually. And I still like them. They're like pretty small, so I eat like 10 at a time. It's actually quite easy and they look good. And that is kind of in my head like the holiday cookie of my childhood and like our family household. So that is the recipe I'm sharing. It's very difficult to find, but I guess now it will be out in the world again because I'm about to share it. So from early 2000s Southern Living is where that is from. So, also one other note is that there are some, I've looked up, there are other recipes for Neapolitan cookies that don't use the strawberries. But I think that's like a key component to me. And also some of them where the layers are like horizontal instead of vertical, if that makes sense in the cookie. Like, anyway, so this is the way this is like our Neapolitan cookies. So yeah.
That's really cool. I've never heard of such a thing. Seriously, like brand new concept to me. So I think that's super neat. Love Neapolitan ice cream. So I just can't wait to see the pictures because even though you're describing them, I'm not exactly sure like what they look like. So I can't wait to see it. And I think that's impressive that you like make the dough and refrigerate for a while. It's kind of like takes a long, not like, it doesn't sound complicated, but that there's a process and everything like that. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. Never have I heard of that.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be really pretty on a plate. And I like that there's a little strawberry because it seems like you must be able to taste that. I'm not really fond of almond extract for some reason, but I'd probably eat it, or you probably don't even have to put it in, right?
Yeah, you could totally leave the middle layer just plain sugar cookie. So that
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Is it easy to press the layers together? Does it get all
Yeah,
mixed up?
I mean, you kind of put a little bit of weight on it, but it really, yeah, I mean, and there's never been an issue with them like separating or like falling apart or anything. So I would
Cool.
say it's pretty foolproof. So,
Fun, I love it.
yeah, and the pictures, it is a little hard to like describe, but then I think when you and the recipe share community see the photos, you'll be like, oh, like that makes sense. So,
Yeah, I'm picturing like Neapolitan ice cream.
I mean, that's
in a cookie.
truly what it looks like. So
Yeah.
that's the right thing to picture. So cool. Katie, tell us about your holiday cookie.
Okay. So the recipe that I'm sharing today comes from this cookbook. It's The Art of Pantry Cooking, Meals for Family and Friends by Rhonda Carmen. This book is really interesting because it's all divided by pantry ingredients. So there's an almond section, an olive section, capers, and all sorts of other things. The section that I am sharing from is the pine nut section, which I'm excited about. It's one of my favorite foods. I love pine nuts. I put them on salad almost every day. So I was very excited to see this recipe for Italian pignoli cookies. And I'd never heard of that before, but pignoli cookies are a treasured Italian Christmas dessert that are chewy and require only 5 ingredients. So your ingredients are 1 1/4 cups pine nuts, 2 teaspoons of grated orange zest, 2 egg whites at room temperature, a cup of sugar, and a pound of almond paste. So I've never cooked with almond paste before this recipe. They specifically say it's not marzipan. So I looked around a little bit to figure out what would be the best place for me to get this, and I ended up getting it at Meijer. So they've got nice like blocks of almond paste that you can buy there. And you put your block of almond paste in your food processor and you pulse it until it's a little bit crumbly, and then you put your sugar in and pulse that a little bit more. Then you add your egg whites and orange zest and you process that until the dough is smooth. And here they say that you're going to turn the dough onto a wooden surface, form it into balls, and roll it in the pine nuts. But this dough was so sticky, I did not feel comfortable doing it like that. So I ended up using a scooper or a disher to make balls of the dough, and then I was dipping it in the pine nuts and then turning it out onto the baking sheet, and that worked great for me. I was actually glad to not touch the very sticky dough. The only thing was I ended up with some leftover pine nuts, so when I make this again, I will be sure to like really pack the pine nuts in there to like get the full amount in the recipe. But then you just bake it for like 13 to 15 minutes, cool it for 5 minutes. And these cookies are so tasty. I just really loved the flavor combination of the almond and the orange. And then with the pine nut sort of topping that, and the pine nuts get a little brown and toasty on top. So all of that flavor together was something that was new to me. I hadn't really tasted something like that. So I thought it was really good. And then the texture of these is also really unique. It's chewy, but it's also light and airy at the same time. So that was something that was really enjoyable. Definitely loved these. My husband loved them too. He said I should definitely make them again. So I am planning on making these for Christmas this year, and probably forever, because they're very, very good.
That is wild. That recipe is so fascinating to me. So obviously, no flour, which makes sense because I know you don't do that, but also no flour of any type. That's wild.
Yeah. Just like love a naturally gluten-free recipe.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting those ingredients, but there they are.
And the only kind of liquid really is the egg whites.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Well, the almond paste is like sticky and like, so it kind of has a little bit of liquid quality to it, pasty. So there's
okay, sure. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It sounds delicious.
Yeah. It's really good.
Did you use fresh orange zest from?
I actually ended up using clementine zest because that's what
Okay.
I had. And I don't know if it made too much of a difference, but it was so good. It was really strong and came through in the flavors.
Yum.
Yep.
That's great.
Very, very nice. Beth, please tell us about your cookies.
Oh, so exciting because similarly, my cookies do not have flour either. And what they're called from Kurt's family, forgotten cookies. They're basically a meringue cookie that you heat up your oven to 400. You make your you beat the crap out of the egg whites, because when I made them and they didn't end up it didn't work. So thankfully Kurt made another batch. But anyways, beat the 2 egg whites, 3/4 cup of sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla, and beat till it's shows peaks. And then you stir in a cup of nuts, chopped nuts of your choice, and a cup of chocolate chips. Stir them, put them on using what I did, a scoop, or like by the teaspoon-ish, on a pan, and you turn off your oven, and then you put them in, and you forget about them for 3 to 4 hours or overnight. The problem when I made them, so overnight they were still a little sticky, and I was like, oh shoot, well, I'm gonna try turning on the oven again. So I did that. I turned it on and then off again, and they tasted great. They just didn't have the right texture. They were just super crumbly. Kurt made them the other day, and his turned out great. And here's a picture. I opened one up too, just to see, you can see how airy it is, like yours were, you were talking about. But what I love about these cookies, it's the best thing to make when you're making several batches of cookies, and then this can be your last batch. And especially if you've got the extra egg whites, if you're making something else with it. So super, super tasty, gluten-free, and you won't forget these forgotten cookies.
I've never heard of that technique. That's you both have shared like fascinating recipes to me. That's overnight even. You literally just put them in and come back the next day if you want. That's wild.
Yep.
Yeah, that is really cool. I love that. I've never worked with meringue before, so it's something that intimidates me, but I'm like also sort of looking forward to trying it at some point. So maybe this will be it for me. It sounds super interesting.
And really, they're super simple, especially if you already have the egg whites, and if you've got the the mixer, because that's key. I don't think you can make meringue by hand. Can you? I don't know.
Yes,
Maybe one of those.
I think you need them. I think you need the mixer. I mean, yeah. I don't know. That sounds like
yeah, that would be hard. Anyway, I hope you do try it. And you know what else? Kurt had to make some for another event, and he put them in the freezer. And I assume that he checked on that before he did so, to make sure that they would last. So yeah, it's just another extra thing to add to your repertoire.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Well, thank you for watching Recipe Share, and be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find out about the recipes we talked about, and share your own in the comments. Join us next time when we'll be talking about recipes using gorgeous gourds. Yeah, we are looking forward to see what you've been making, so thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, share a little recipe with recipe